Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Jarvis here. You're with me on my IG. What's up, IG? I see you, Sagittarius swag in the building. What's going on? You with me on my FB? What's up, Facebook in the building? And you're with me on YouTube, and not to mention the Wisdom app. And this is another edition of Yep, you already got it. You called it. You know it. Jarvis TV. And if you have not seen the topic of tonight, tonight's topic is all about emotions. Let's say it again, all about emotions. Episode part 21. It's part 21, and this is one last conversation on emotions. That humorous voice that you may hear in the background is my one and only cousin Marlon Shelton in the building. Hit me up from Seattle, Washington. What's up, cuz?
What's happening, cuz?
Man, you got it, man. You got it. I know I only got you for a little while. And so you had a topic that you wanted to talk about tonight. Tell everybody the topic that you wanted to talk about.
Well, I work with young people, middle school, high school age kids, and the bullying and the way they have to deal with conflict these days is way different in the way that we had to deal with it in our generation. In the sense that it follows them in cyberbullying and those kinds of things. And they don't get the chance to process those emotions so they can kind of face the next day.
Right.
Instead, it's on their neck like 24/7. So that's something that we had talked about. We had a good conversation about. Not sure where it can go or what's the dude's name? Swaggy Sagittarius.
Sagittarius swag. Well, Sagittarius swag is showing you all kind of love right now. So
that's what's up. That's what's up. I'm sorry, I'm driving. I can't see the name, but the name cracked me up. That and the 27th episode of Emotions.
Hey, listen. Hey, mental health.
I want to be like God in heaven.
Mental health and mental illness and mental wellness is very important, and that's why we got so many episodes of Emotions. But I'm always open to it, and we've had some great conversations as it pertains to emotions, man. And I know one of the things that we were discussing when we were talking about the kids that you work with, that you when you said that they kind of deal with it differently, the whole bullying thing when we were kids, emotionally, we at least had 12 hours to 18 hours to get it together before we went back to school, right? Because once we got off the bus and got home, bullying stopped. Where now kids are kind of like, when they go through this whole bullying thing, that bullying follows them through social media.
Yeah, and helping them cope through that on a daily basis, especially when the antagonists are kind of, nearby at all times.
Yeah.
In the middle.
Yeah. And I know, and just so everybody knows, like he is right now doing his honey-do list. And so I'm very grateful to be able to have him on with me for the amount of time that I have him on with me.
Right. That's what taking back totally.
What's up? Your phone broke up for just a second.
Yeah, man, I got it. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
I'll admit it, I have an embarrassing amount of Wendy's in my car right now. And, I got to be on daddy duty, so I got to do what I got to do.
Okay. Well, I wasn't going to tell him that you was on that you had an embarrassing amount of Wendy's in the car, and that, but I was just going to say you was doing the honey-do list. You was just running some errands, and, you had to get back home and get daddy duty, but... Let me fix this Wi-Fi real quick. Let me turn off my Wi-Fi real quick on my phone, because it got you sounding like you speaking gibberish or alien. You was like, so.
Oh yeah, man, I hit like a weird patch, man. Out here.
I got you. Yo, and shout out to my sister's husband, my brother-in-law. He's over on IG. Donald Swa in the building. What up? What up? But yeah, man. So
yeah, but I was saying I have an embarrassing amount of Wendy's that I'm on the honey-do list. You're absolutely right. That's what I'm up to. There's no shame. A little bit of shame, but I'm dealing with it.
It's okay, man. It's okay. I accept you and love you regardless, so it ain't no big deal. You got to do what you got to do.
Well, you made some comments, made me feel a kind of way about myself. We on here talking about emotions. You was like, that's a lot of food you done ordered. I'm like, leave me alone.
So you expressing your emotions. That's what that is.
at the age of 13.
I got you. I got you. I got you, man. You know, it's funny. We laugh at that, but they don't understand what we're laughing at.
Come on, man. This goes way too back. This goes way too far back to even try to explain.
Man, so like on the topic of emotions, okay, so you are the proud father of two. You have a son who is like growing, like he's sprouting like a weed, and you have a brand new baby girl. So tell me about that emotionally? Like how did that feel, man? I mean, I know sort of because we talk, but how did that feel?
Yeah, man, you kind of been lock and step with the whole process from afar, but it's amazing, man. You know, parenthood is something that I cherish. That I think everybody should experience at one point or another if that's something they're ready for. But
yeah.
I have a 13-year-old son who's amazing. I have a 5-month, about to be 6-month-old daughter who's also amazing. But they love you unconditionally, but in like different ways.
Okay.
So when people say like girls hit different and like having a baby girl is just like different, it just is,
Okay.
And it's hard to put in the work. The way they love you, the way they are vulnerable. My son, he would stone face you. He wasn't really giving up the love to anybody. But my girl just has so much love to give, and it's cool.
Yeah. So tell me, man, like how as dad, like how does it hit different for you? Because I know you said that hits different. How does that hit different for you?
For me, I don't know if it was because my son, he's a bright kid. He's always been bright and inquisitive and instinctual and all of those things. But he used to just sit there and observe things, and just like see how everything unfolds and figure out how everything works. And then he would figure out if he wants to interact. And that's just cool. That's like his defense mechanism. That's how he survives. That's how he gets through the world.
Okay.
But my baby girl, I'm seeing certain things of just wanting to spread love. And she's equally chill. She's not a fussy baby. She's just a happy, lovable baby. And I don't know if that's because their personalities are different,
right?
Or if that's because, one's a boy and one's a girl. So.
Okay. With mom, like, do you see a difference in her emotions, as far as baby girl?
Not really. I mean, my mom is gonna mom. If you're a mother, you're really gonna unconditionally go to war for your kids.
Right.
So, right. I don't really see the difference in the way that a mother interacts, but it's a beautiful thing at the end of the day. Either way you go, you have a child, you're blessed.
Hey, brother, I love how you put that. One of the things that I can say, man, about you and I is that we've always been very transparent with our emotions and our feelings. And so, as a man, what are some things that I know you probably just about to the house, so you're about to jump off on me, but what are some things that you would share with the fellas as far as like things that are okay with their emotions, things that they should handle?
During her funeral, and it like floored me. Like,
okay,
Superman crying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I needed to see that, to see my father, and think and know that it's okay to show that emotion for something that you care so much about.
Yeah.
If a kid never sees that, especially from his father, they might not know how to handle those things.
I got you.
From the father or any parent, really. But if you're going to be present in your child's life, it's okay for them to see that emotion, because they're not going to really learn any other way than watching their folks.
Yeah, that's
what I understand it as.
Nah, that's good, and just for those who, because something happened for a second and I accidentally bumped out of one of the streams, but what Marlon was saying is he said like the first time that he'd ever saw his father cry was at Big Mama's funeral, and it just kind of hit him because he's like, man, wait, Superman crying, what's going on? But he talked about the impact that it had on him. And Sagittarius Swag said, and I just kind of chuckled because I said, I know you said you like that name. Sagittarius Swag chimed in and said, I believe the best thing to do is to pay attention to them, being the emotions in your children. So, and I agree with you, Marlon, like the being told, we both at some point were in a single parent household, right? With mothers who were strong, very strong. And the one thing that I can say about you and I in our relationship is we've never had a hard time showing our emotions. If it was like if I call and I'm dealing with something and I break down, it's okay to break down. If you call me and you dealing with something and you break down, it's okay to break down. And I think that's important for men to be able to establish those types of relationships in their life, because it's not a sign of weakness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you with me? Oh, I think, yeah, I think I might be losing you. I can hear you. You just got to the house?
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, man, my bad. I just pulled in the garage, Bluetooth acting donkey. I got to get this Wendy's into the crib, feed the family. I love you.
I love you too,
fired
man.
Up for part 30 of Emotions. Hey, man, I'm tired of hearing that theme song, dog. Let's get somebody making a track, because I done Googled it. I don't like it anymore. I used to like it, maybe in like part 10.
Part 10?
Now we on part 30. Now we on part 37, dog. Like, man, get rid of that song. Let's get a new jam. Man, should have played H-Town.
I got you, man. I got
All right,
you.
I love you.
I love you too, man. I'll holler at you later, man. All right, peace. All right, everybody. So that was my cousin, one of my closest friends as well, Marlon Shelton, holding it down. But the what he was saying, and it was really good that he mentioned that. One of the last things that we heard him talk about was he talked about the importance of fathers being able to show their emotions in front of their children, because especially sons, because when they encounter certain things as they go through life, it'll allow them to know how to handle certain things, and that it's okay for them to react and respond in those ways. So tonight is, I have up there as the topic, one last conversation on emotions. And with that being the topic, one last conversation on emotions, what I wanted to really tap into is I wanted to make sure that I allowed for people to to ask questions. You always want to allow people to be able to ask questions. And so I had people who I've been talking to throughout the day. I asked them to send me some questions. So I do have some questions that are on deck. But I would also like for you guys to shoot me any questions that you may have, or chime in and have a conversation with me about, what you've taken from this emotion series. Marlon was joking about how many parts to emotions I had. And, the importance was making sure that we did a deep dive into emotions, because I find that a lot of times when we talk about emotional intelligence, when we talk about mental health, mental wellness, mental illness, when we talk about mental toughness, when we talk about anything with our emotions, a lot of times we kind of have like the hit it and quit it type of mentality. We come in, boom, with a bunch of information, and then we run away. The problem with that type of approach is that when we do that, people really only retain about 25% of what it is that you're saying to them. And if they're only retaining 25% of what it is that you're saying to them, how much of the stuff that you said is actually sticking, that can actually make an impact? And I wanted to take my time and go until I felt like, we've got this. There's a lot of different things that we could talk about, that we can still cover in emotions. And I'm pretty sure they'll come up in conversations down the line, but I wanted to make sure that in the All About Emotions series, that it was that we really made impact, that we really touched lives, that we really changed thought processes, changed mindsets, encouraged, empowered, helped, edified, everything that we could possibly think of on a positive side when it comes to dealing with our emotions and our emotional states, and how we handle things in the workplace, how we handle things in our family, how we handle things with friends, how we handle things with lovers. And just, we walk away feeling a little bit more confident and having some answers on what it is that we can do. And I can say this, with every single episode that passed, with every single time that somebody reached out, there was always great feedback. People gave great feedback. There were a lot of thank yous. There were a lot of, hey, this is, last night was great. I really appreciate that. I needed that. Those are things, and that's what I was looking for. Is I was looking to be able to make those types of differences and those types of changes in people's lives. And I do want to encourage you, if you want to jump in on the conversation tonight and just talk about emotions, your perspectives on emotions, your perspective on mental health, your perspective on mental illness, your perspective on emotional intelligence, your perspective on how to handle people in the workplace, whatever that case may be. Even if you have a perspective on relationships, I want you to be able to join in the conversation. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, then you can go ahead, and I just put into the comment section a link for you to be able to join in. And when you join in, you don't have to join with your camera. You can join without your camera, so people just hear your voice. If you're over on the Wisdom app, all you do is ask to join, and I'll bring you up. And there is a time limit. I know sometimes we get into really good conversations on that, and I allow people to really come in and hit it from a different perspective. And allow them to use their brain trust to help add value to the conversation. And if you're on Instagram and you want to jump in the conversation, all you got to do is just go ahead and hit the button and request to join, and I will allow you to join. So another thing that I want to throw out there right now, so that everybody knows and you are in the know, this Saturday, February 19th, there's a rebroadcast of the Impact Rally 2022. And it was absolutely amazing, absolutely dope. Man, the tomorrow I'm gonna play some of the testimonials for you guys so you guys can see it. But you want to register for that, go straight to jarvishenderson.com, because you will only be able to see and hear the rebroadcast by registering. Go to jarvishenderson.com and just go into the search bar and put in Impact Rally, and it'll pull it right up for you to be able to register. All right. And if you want to get if you want to be a part of the Impact community and you want to get that Impact community rate on that registration, then you'll go ahead and you'll text Impact to 386-200-1394. And that'll allow you to jump in on the community. And once you get it on the community, hey, we making it happen. So let me go ahead and since I got you all here, go ahead and get into some of these questions that I have that people sent over. And they're in no particular order. So if you're somebody who sent me a question, I don't want you to feel like your question came in the order because I felt like it was more important or less important, because that is not the case. I'm actually just going to ask the questions that I have, and I'm going to ask them based off of whatever order I kind of jotted them down in order on my phone here. So the first question I have, it says, do men really have emotions, or do they pretend? Well, that's a good question. I'm sorry I chuckled. Please don't be offended at that chuckle. Yes, men really do have emotions. If you look at and listen to what Marlon just said just a moment ago in his entire presentation or his conversation with me, he talked about the different types of emotions that he's felt as a man. The emotions that he felt with his, he talked about how he just had his baby girl, and that just hit a little bit different. That hits his emotions, right? Myself as a man, I can say, yes, we do as men go through and have emotions. We love, and when we love hard, and there's all of those different categories and things of love. But, we actually, as men, we do have emotions. We put off and pretend like we're not being affected. We put off and we try to hide the things that are going on with us. But the reason we do that is because the world, and I don't want to say one particular people group or anything like that, the world has told us that it's not okay for us to show our emotions. The world has showed us that the emotions that a man should show, if he have them, should be the ones of grit, the ones of the superhero type of emotions. Like the man's not going to cry, a man don't cry. Like these are different things that people tell us, and it's just based off of what we've read in books. It's based off of what we see in movies. It's ironic that was the first question, because even as I'm thinking about it, there's a show that I was watching, and the guy that was in the show, he was like this retired military, just amazingly strong, amazingly intelligent, and he showed no emotion. Even when he got to the point that he started to fall in love with this woman, it was like grinding teeth to get him to express that, hey, I really have feelings for you. And he eventually broke down and said, I have feelings for he kind of did that whole breakdown. But it's those types of things that contribute to the thought that men don't necessarily have emotions. And we are human beings, just like women are human beings. We can be emotional just like women can be emotional. We can tap into our emotions just like women can tap into our emotions. We love just as much as women love. It's just like if you go back into that whole thing where they're like, and I hate when I hear this, men are all dogs, da, 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 da. They do this, they do that, they do this. Man, women are doing the exact same things that men are doing. It's just that they're louder in their voice when they express their disgust and their disdain for the things that have happened to them. And I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just letting you know that's a true statement. So that is a great question, and I appreciate you for sending in that question. And I will go on to the next question. Now, if you have a question and it has to pertain to emotions, or men in their emotions, women in their emotions, or if you want to say something, or if you want to state something, definitely please chime in and say something. This is just a conversation, one last conversation on emotions. And before I go further, let me say this. This is part 21. They say it takes 21 days to create a habit, right? 21 days to create a habit. We've talked about emotions for 21 days. So in this 21 days, I've created a personal habit to where I'm paying more attention. I'm more in tune to my personal emotions and the emotions of the people around me. But I've taken that time to methodically break this down so that we can have great conversations, and that you can look back and you can go back and look at anything that we have or that's been posted, and pull from it. I promise you that. I saw another question just pop up over in the impact community. So let me check this question out. Let me pull this question up really quickly so I can see it. And I believe I saw, yes, I saw that. Okay, so I have a question from somebody in the impact community. It says, why do men feel like they can't trust the woman they love to support them through their emotional journey? Meaning, why do men not allow the woman they love to support them while they're vulnerable? Wow, that is wow, that is a great question. Sagittarius swag, I'll holler at you later, man. I'll see you popping off. Yeah, that is a great question. Let me read it again. Why do men feel that they can't trust the woman they love to support them through their emotional journey? Meaning, why do men not allow the women they love to support them while they're vulnerable? All right, so I am going to answer that, and I can answer that from my perspective. And yes, Bree, I saw that was you. I just didn't know if you wanted me to tell you. That was Bree Ferguson who put that question out there. And so to answer that question for you, Bree, like, again, it goes back to what our minds have been trained on as far as men. It goes back into the narrative that has been told to us over and over and over again, that we as men are supposed to keep it together, that we as men are not supposed to show signs of weakness. And it's not that we don't want the women that we love to support us, because we need it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, we need that type of support. And what we go through in our mind is we're battling because we don't want you to feel like we can't take care of the problem, or we can't take care of you. And we feel as though if we open up too much, that you may change the way that you look at us, that you may see us as weak, or you may see us as inadequate, or you may see us as inferior, or something will turn in you that would cause you to look at us differently. And we don't want you to see us in a place where we are not able to be there for you, because we want to be there for you. That's the thing. If a man is hiding his emotions like that, if he's not accepting, or to go back into your question, if he's not if it seems like he's not trusting you, trusting the woman that he loves through the emotional journey, it's not a thing of us not trusting you. I like how you said it the second way, meaning, why do men not allow the woman they love to support them? It's about that piece right there, that second piece. We want the support, we want the love, we want the nurturing, but we also want to know that if we let our walls fall and we let you in, that you're going to help build us back up. And too many times we see this on talk shows, we see this on TV shows, you hear it in the environments that we live in, where if a man is showing that he's not as strong, right? And meaning like he's in a place of vulnerability. Well, unfortunately, a lot of times what media shows us, and I have to say mass media, I can't just label it to just one. When a man is broken, we're no good. That's what mass media shows us. That's what mass media tells us. That's the narrative that's written. And we see this played out over and over and over and over again. As a matter of fact, there's a movie that's coming out with Channing Tatum and I want to say J Lo. I don't think it's J Lo. I think it's somebody else, but it's another female actress, very attractive, and he's basically a character in her book. And in her book, he's this great hero, but in real life, he's just like a regular average guy who doesn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, she comes up missing, and with her being missing, he's now running around trying to prove that he really is a hero, but he's like fumbling it. And then you have this other guy who's in the picture, and I think it's Brad Pitt, who comes in and he's like the stereotypical hero. Now, I've never seen the movie, I just saw the movie trailer, but that's the premise of the movie. So we have things like that that are out there all the time that are telling us that if we show our vulnerability, right, that if we allow ourselves to break, that our woman is not going to be there for us, that she's going to look down on us, that she's going to turn her back away from us, that we're now going to look like nothing to her. And we don't want to look like nothing to the woman that we love. We want to always feel like and look like something to the woman that we love. So when we are going through things like that, we need you as women to say to us, baby, it's okay to be vulnerable. I see what you're going through. I see what you're dealing with. And we're going to get through this together. Like, there's got to be words of affirmation and words of encouragement to let us know that you got us. I'm thinking about that song, "You're All That I Need. I'll Be There For You. If you keep it real with me, I'll keep it real with you. Loving this whole scheme, you being there, boo. On top of that, you got that good about you." The song, "Shorty, I'm here for you anytime you need me. For real, girl, it's me in your world. Believe me, nothing make a man feel better than a woman." Like, he's going through this whole thing. And I think I said this before. Even when the skies are gray, you will rub me on my back and say, "Baby, it'll be okay." And that's real to a brother like me, baby. Never ever, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get to that part right there, that part seals the whole song. Having that support. We need to see more of that, and we need to hear more of that as men, that you've got us. Now, the man who's confidently walking through his journey is a man whose woman has let him know, "Hey, baby, I see you and I got you." And sometimes it's not going to come immediately. You may say it once, and we're a little skeptical because we're battling against this narrative that's been written in our mind over years of hearing the wrong things about how we should handle ourselves and our emotions as a man. And we really want to open up, and we really want to let you in. Here's another key. When we let our walls down and we show our vulnerability, you are now our kryptonite. Superman had kryptonite. There are two things that could take Superman down: the kryptonite and his and his love for Lois Lane. That's why when you see in superhero movies and everything now, the superhero is always trying to keep the woman that they're in love with away from the danger, because if that woman that they're in love with is anywhere near the danger, then okay, now they're challenged, and they're kind of like taken off their rocker, so to speak. Okay, so that's a good one. And I see Bree, she pops back up and she said, "It makes us feel like you don't trust us when you don't let us in." And hopefully I covered that, and I'm letting you know it's not that we don't trust you. It's that we are afraid. We're scared. We don't want to lose you. We don't want you to look at us any differently. We really just want you. We need you. Like, we literally need you. Any guy just putting on like he doesn't need you, he needs you. And it's just a soft touch. A soft answer turns away wrath, right? A soft touch. Women have this ability. You don't have to, like, if you're just there and you're just like, "Baby, it's okay. I got you. I'm with you. We got this together." When we are in that broken space and you step in and you say, "I'm with you," that means something to us. Over here on IG, I see Prep Body. She says, "If a man doesn't let a woman in when he's most vulnerable, he'll never know that she has his back." That is a very true statement. And that is why I made the comment just a moment ago that when it comes to men and our emotions, and when we're going through and we need that support, it's important. Women, you like to over communicate when you want something, right? When you feel a certain way, you like to over communicate. Well, that same over communication is needed when you see your man going through and he's at a place where you can tell he's broken and he's in a vulnerable state, because that over communication is reassurance to us that you got us. And it's got to be along those lines of words of support. If you're coming and the words are, and this is what some women do, and ladies, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I've seen it happen. I've heard it happen. I've sat down and done couples coaching, relationship coaching with people, and I've heard a woman say these things to a man, like, well, and it's almost like when you find out a man is vulnerable on a spot, that's what you fire back at him with when he's like, when you're angry, because that's the thing that hurts him. You know that thing hurts him. You know that thing pricks his heart. You know that's the thing that it tears him down. And we as men, if we've ever experienced that in any relationship, we don't like the way that feels, and we don't ever want to go through that again. So that is also another reason why it's important to keep communicating, like, baby, I got you. I'm with you. It's like that song that Alicia Keys wrote back in the day, Diary. You know, she was just saying, like, hey, I'll keep your secrets. I will be the one. You can talk to me. I've got you. She wrote a whole song about it. And as men, and I'll tell you, especially for me, I was like, yo, who's gonna be my diary? Like, I was looking around like, man, I need that Alicia Keys type of love. Like that right there. I need that. She gonna keep my secret. She'll be my diary. She'll, that's what makes power couples. Power couples is a woman who's let her man know that, baby, I got you and I can support you through his trying times. And that man then saying, hey, okay, baby, I'm letting you in. And he lets her in. And then once he lets her in, he's now supporting her the same way that she's supporting him. And hopefully that answers that question. But that was really good. And that was a very great comment, and I agree with what you guys are saying. And I will say, like, we don't want to make you feel like we don't trust you, because we really need you to know that we do trust you. We're just trying to get over the past narratives and the past things that have been said to us about how we're supposed to handle ourselves, so that we can then open up and really speak to you on a level, or be on that level with you, where we're in this thing together. Yeah. But that was good. Yeah, that was good. And remember, I'm just telling you from my perspective and the conversations that I've had with various ones. And so, yeah, so let me go back and check on some of my questions that I have here. If you have any other questions or comments, please go ahead and throw them up in the chat. Or if you would like to join the conversation, definitely jump up in the chat. So let me, I got to pull this back up. I'm sorry, I should have just left it up. Oh, man. Oh, this one's going to be good. Hold on. Yeah, this one's, sorry, I just cleared it off my screen. All right. Wow. What are some examples of emotional abuse, and what are your thoughts on that? Okay. So, what are some examples on emotional abuse, and what are your thoughts on that? All right. So, some examples of emotional abuse. Here's some examples of emotional abuse. If a person is constantly criticizing you, that's emotional abuse. If a person is constantly calling you out of your name, they're not terms of endearment. They're just names that like calling you fat, calling you ugly, calling you hoes, this, that, you ain't no good. Those types of things. That's emotional and verbal abuse. If they gaslight you consistently, that's emotional abuse. If they are like, they always want to argue with you and there's no reason for them to argue with you, that's emotional abuse. If they are if they're constantly, basically, if they're constantly trying to control you, like checking on you all the time to make sure you're doing what they want you to do, basically they try to control what goes on in your day and your schedule and your personal behaviors, that's emotional abuse. If they're constantly accusing you of cheating and they have like really high levels of jealousy, high levels of possessiveness, that's kind of like they kind of get in this mania, this obsessive type thing, those are all signs of emotional abuse. I feel like emotional abuse is just as dangerous and just as detrimental as physical abuse, if not worse. And the reason I say that is because with physical abuse, no. Yeah. I'll say just worse. Because basically what you're doing when you emotionally abuse somebody, it's like if I slap somebody with this little Scully, right? And for those of you who are on wisdom, I have like a little gray Scully in my hand. It's like a little toboggan type hat. If I slap somebody with it, it doesn't hurt. I can laugh and play and it doesn't hurt, right? But if I take this same Scully and I start loading stuff into it, I take this speaker and I drop it in here, and I take this this box cutter and I drop it in here, and I take this charger and this pin and and I start dropping stuff in here. Well, now when I swing this, it looks like it's soft, right? But it's got stuff in it that's going to cause damage. It's going to cause pain. That's what emotional abuse is. Emotional and verbal abuse. Emotional and verbal abuse is you basically taking a hammer and putting it into a pillowcase and swinging that pillowcase at somebody. It's going to hurt them. It's just hidden in the fact that it's your words and not your hands. Now, what emotional abuse does is it starts to train a person's mind, and it trains their emotions, and it trains their threat reaction, their memory banks, all of this stuff to respond a certain way, and it's not healthy at all. Emotional abuse raises anxiety. Emotional abuse, it raises tension. It causes hair loss. It creates cancers on the inside of people's bodies. It releases toxins. So there's so much that I can say about emotional abuse, and I just, like, my heart goes out to those who deal with it, and I hate when I see it, because it's up. You really have to try to help the person who's going through it to understand that they're dealing with it. There's a show that's out, and I have somebody who's about to jump in over here on the Wisdom app with me, and this is Miss Felicia K. I'm excited for that. I'm glad to have her back in the conversation. But there's a show that was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there, but it's called Maid, MAID, or The Maid, I think. But the young lady in this show literally is going through emotional abuse, and they show what happens to her, and she doesn't even realize that she's going through emotional abuse. And that's the danger of emotional and verbal abuse, is that you don't even realize that it's happening to you. It's like, this is just how we communicate. No, it's not just how you communicate. This is bigger than just how you communicate, right? So I'm gonna take a pause for a cause on that, because I feel like Felicia K has some great stuff to add into it, and I'm gonna bring her up. And I did see somebody else jump up into the queue, so I got to keep her to her 5 minutes. But I'm bringing her up into the conversation so that we can have a good conversation about this. And let's see what we got. Miss Felicia.
Yeah, you're always talking about something that scares me, that just kind of jumped out at me. I just came in the room, and I opened the app, and here you are talking about these emotions. And when you talking about emotional abuse, I mean, emotional abuse is anytime we're asserting our power through our words, through our actions,
right?
And we're putting that on other people. We're releasing that into other people.
Right.
It's like we're taking our words, just like you said, you were hitting something. Of course, I can't see, but you kind of try to tell me what you're doing right here. But I'm like, you're just doing something. I just love this, But basically, I was reading, because I think abuse could be anything. It's anything and everything that is not love.
Yeah.
That not true love, not unconditional love, not judgment, not tearing anybody down. And the thing is that most people are going through such periods of loneliness that, maybe they'll put up with a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Just to say I'm in a relationship. And it was like, well, okay, I'm going to put up with this. I'm going to put up with, things like trust issues. I'm going to put up with, well, I'm going to go where I want to go, and you just better be here when I get here, kind of thing. I'm just saying anything that's not love can be chalked up in the category of emotional abuse when you use your words and you wrap them in a bunch of emotion, and then you send that beam right into the heart of another human being, and it hurts them and it penetrates them, and their heart is open to you because we have agreed to have a love relationship.
Yes.
But this thing is not lovely. It doesn't feel good.
Right.
It doesn't feel good. And the thing is that we gotta come to another level of what our feelings are for. We need to, our feelings are for manifesting. Our feelings are for helping bring love into the world. Our feelings are to give us information, like the emotion of anger lets me know that somewhere I got some sadness.
Yeah.
And that sadness, if I don't deal with that sadness, I'm going to be out of pocket.
Right.
And it might express itself as something unintentionally or intentionally, and push that energy into another person. And that person just like, whoa, wait a minute, what is this? That's not me, you know? But the thing is that everybody's got to have love and respect for themselves. This thing doesn't work without self-love and self-respect. And I understand that there is room in relationships for growth.
Yeah.
But love and respect has to be the cornerstone of this thing, of this relationship that we have with each other. You know, it's almost like when they say in the law, it says, you know, do no harm, or a doctor's creed, do no harm. When we're in marriages and stuff like that, we need to make a decree that let's not do no harm. If we can't make each other better, then God dog it, let's not make each other worse. And let us take care of our emotional baggage. Let us rumble through that, you know. And when she said, hey, or he says, hey, that was, you know what, I don't like, you left me feeling a kind of way. And you said these things to me and stuff like that. And I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from. I said, because I know that, you know, I know that that's not me.
Right.
And this is where they say, the young kids go, you can miss me with that. You can miss me with that comment.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
That's
but
exactly what they say too.
Always come back. Is this love and respect? Is this love? And is this respect?
Right.
You know, there has to be some emotional intelligence involved in this thing. And we got to use all our mental faculties, all our emotional intelligence. We got to know what all these feelings communicate. And that stuff, we're living in a time where you can Google just about everything.
Yes.
And you have to look up emotional intelligence. You know, is this person I'm talking to emotionally intelligent? Is he able to use his words as a constructive, something to build this relation up? Can he express himself, something he's disappointed about, without being, you know, disrespectful, without leaving me feeling bereaved?
Right.
So my thing is that this is how things manifest. We take a thought, and if we wrap that sucker or close that sucker in some clothes called emotion feelings, we better watch where we're.
Man, and I need you to come right back up. And I do have somebody that's in the queue. Dr. Robert, I got you, but give me just a second. I'm gonna let Felicia finish this off, and then we'll jump right to you, Dr. Robert. All right. So, and please feel free to chime in, people. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just saying. So all I'm saying is that we have to learn what emotion is for. The proper use of emotions. We need to study, y'all. We got to do a word search. We got to do our research. We got to say, oh, that's nobody didn't mean that. The words don't hurt me. You know, sticks and stones might break my bones. That's that shit we used to say when we were younger. But words would never hurt me. I'm sorry. But this is how we communicate. And if our communication is not clear, if our words are self-harming, if they're self-harming, they're going to harm the other person too.
Right.
It's like a boomerang, the boomerang effect. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming home and I'm like throwing that boomerang. And not only am I going to hit my partner that I say I love, but that boomerang is going to come back to me with the same freaking intensity that they threw it.
Man, that's good.
It's going to come back to you.
That's good.
You know? And don't have that woman be a praying woman. Please don't have that woman or man be a praying man. Because it's going to work both ways. You know? Women are loose cannons with their words as well.
Right.
But they want the soft words. So I'm like, oh, baby, you know, you could have said that in a different way. And it's like, okay, come on now. Stop wearing your feelings on your sleeve and being offended by everything. If you're offended by conversation, if you're offended by just somebody having a line of inquiry, some questions and stuff like that, and you're getting all, you know, all mussed up and stuff like all rattled because of some questions, then I got some other questions for you, like what are you hiding? And what is the real problem? What is this reaction about? Is this about me? Is this about you? Let's chop up some real game here.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we're not taking our lessons from no TV shows, no movies, or nothing like that. We're not taking our cues from shit like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is a real thing. It's a real thing. I'm involved in a live simulation,
Yeah.
with real people.
Yeah.
And so it takes time to sort out what's mine, what's hers, what's ours.
Yeah.
To be able to say, okay, what is this about? And that's where that emotional maturity and that emotional intelligence comes in. That's where we are taking our spirit, we're taking our soul, and they're married together with our intellect.
Yeah.
See, because God is above all things intelligent.
Yeah.
And he was, I got some questions for you, girl. Where's that coming from? Why you say that to that man? Y'all supposed to be friends. Why you run up on him?
Man, that's good.
The action that you'll get is a pop or something like that.
Yeah.
When you get in somebody's space. And if you don't do that to a friend, don't do that to your husband. That's supposed to be your friend, your lover, your this, your that, your boo thing.
Yeah.
It's with love and respect. If we ain't got no love and respect for ourselves, how are we going to get out to each other?
Right. And let me ask you this.
That means that we have to work on our love walk.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. And the same things that you're recommending for marriages, you would recommend that in people who are in these serious dating relationships as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where it starts. I'm dating you because I'm like, okay, let me see if you qualify.
Yeah.
I want to get to know you. I want to see if our personalities gel. I want to see if we can walk together and agree. I want to know what's different about you. I don't want to marry myself.
Right.
Okay, but we usually do marry ourselves. We usually marry that thing that we want most in ourselves. We'll usually go out there and project that onto the person that we're dating, and you'll project that onto that relationship. But that's your projection.
Yeah.
He might not even be there. You know what I'm saying? She might not even be there.
Wow.
Oh, this is the person that got everything I was thinking I wanted. Okay, so are you marrying yourself for yourself? Or are you in a marriage so that you can grow, so you can have a partnership, so you can have somebody to touch, that you can agree with? I mean, I'm not being religious or anything like that.
Nah, hey, let it fly.
Do we get along?
Yeah, let it fly. I mean, people, it's not, it has nothing to do with being religious. I mean, yeah, it's a cliche statement, but whatever, you keeping it real.
Right.
You got 20 seconds, and I'm gonna let you ride.
And I think, okay. So I just wanted to jump in. I always think that you have great topics, and whenever I can weigh in, if I can come in and drop that information, I learn this stuff by what I suffer, and I learn this stuff by what I practice.
Yeah. Man, listen, Felicia K, I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. And the only reason I didn't try to bring you up for one more go is because I got Dr. Robert J. Goodman over here waiting to come up in the queue. So once he's done, if you still want to jump back in, please feel free to jump back in. That's very valuable. And I really hope that people are listening. I'm bringing up Dr. Robert J. Bringing him in.
Hi.
Yes,
I want to
sir.
add one thing to that, Felicia. I have women's come first. So
Yeah.
it was all right if you wanted to come back and finish. But I'll send you an article that I just wanted you to read. And Felicia was talking on it. And the basis of it is everyone is entitled to their own viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to take in counter of your mate. You decide to get a mate, you got to listen to their viewpoint, and meet each other halfway.
Yes. Yes. And I'm looking at your at the message that you sent me. You want me to go ahead and read that?
Yes, and Felicia can come back up because I feel like she has some more to say.
Oh, definitely. Well, hold on. You can stick on while I read this from what you sent me. So you said viewpoints are our thoughts. They are the lenses and tools by which we relate and interpret our world, things, and people. By necessity, we are able to non-confront most incoming sensations. Or I said that right? Non-confront?
Yes.
Okay, non-confront most incoming sensations We create order in our lives with non-confrontation. We are also able to deliberately choose which sensations to confront and which to ignore. For example, your goal is to learn from the teacher and become unconscious of the student next to you joking around. That's good. That's good. Did you want to elaborate a little bit on that as well?
I want you to.
Okay. All right, man. So, like, in looking at this, and I know I got you for a couple minutes, and then we'll bring Felicia back up. I agree with what you're saying as far as like our viewpoints, and I love the example that you use at the end of it when you say, for example, the goal is to learn from the teacher and become unconscious to the student that is next to you, meaning that you have the choice. And I've said this, and I know that I've said this in in my relationship. Like, I've said this to say, hey, you can choose how you want to react. Yes, like, we have a knee-jerk reaction, which is, that's like the immediate, this is how I feel, I'm in this now. And that right there is reacting. But I choose to say, I'm not going to react, I'm going to respond. But the only way I can respond is I have to take a moment. And this is something that I spoke about. I've taught this. I've said this. I've probably said this a million times on these lives, that I choose to cease and seize the moment, meaning that I'm going to stop and take in everything that's happening right now. And I'm going to try to see the end from the beginning and process what's going to be my reaction, my response to what just happened. Because I'm either going to have a conscious reaction or a subconscious reaction. That subconscious reaction is the one that would cause me to fly off the handle and just go crazy. That conscious reaction is the one where I say, wait a minute, this is somebody I love and I care about. And because I love and I care about them, this is the response that I'm going to give them, because I'm listening to them to receive and not to rebuttal. And in sitting to receive from somebody, I can understand what their perspective is. Whether they're wilding and they're way out there coming out of left field or not, I can understand why they're coming from the perspective that they're coming from. And now I can then respond in a way that's going to de-escalate a situation as opposed to trying to escalate a situation. Does that kind of fall in line with what you're talking about?
Yes. And the goal of me presenting a statement was that I'm willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn what it is that I already know.
Yes.
And just by you saying it, give me another whole perspective on how I feel about it, and how other people feel about it.
Yes.
So I listened to you on how you would take how to work. How got it, TJ. I'm saying it too fast. How would you take your how would you respond to it on it?
Yeah.
And like I said, man, everybody are entitled to their own viewpoint.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that I have to do it or you have to do it.
Right.
Yeah. And
yeah. And Dr. Robert, if you want to come right back up, you can come right back up. And Felicia K, if you want to come back up, you can come back up as well. So I'm bringing Dr. Robert back up, and while he's coming back up, right before he gets off, I'm going to read this one more time because there's some great nuggets in here. What he had to say. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, because you said it doesn't mean that you someone have to do it. You could take any parts of it or none of it. Mm-hmm. And that's the learning part of it, of who you are and what it is that you want to be.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, by all means, read it again.
Yes, sir. So it says this: viewpoints are our thoughts. They are the lenses and tools by which we relate and interpret our world, things, and people. By necessity, we are able to non-confront most incoming situations or sensations. We create order in our lives with non-confrontation. We are also able to deliberately choose which sensations to confront and which to ignore. And I'm going to pause right there because that's exactly what he just said. That's exactly what I was saying. we can choose to, people ask me all the time, how do I stay calm in certain situations? Well, it's because in my mind, I've predetermined what my response is going to be if this happens. Not that I'm planning for the worst, but that I say, okay, hey, I know that if I'm in the store and a white person calls me a nigga, right? If I react and just turn around and bust them in their mouth, I might be going to jail because there's cameras and there's all kind of stuff out. But if I hear it and I've already made it up in my mind that that's not who I am, and basically what they're saying is trying to bait me into something that I don't have no, I don't. How they feel is none of my business, and I've already made up in my mind like that word is not going to affect me, or I'm not going to allow it to affect me in that situation, or show them that it's affecting me. I'll continue to get my stuff, tell them to have a nice day, and walk out the door. And then when I get in my car, I may express my disgust, but that is a reaction or a response that I chose to make. Like I predetermined how I was going to respond. I didn't have to receive what they said. I did exactly what Dr. Robert sent over, and he said in his viewpoint is he said that I can choose. I can actually I created the order in my life with non-confrontation. I deliberately chose which sensation to confront. I did not want to confront the anger that I felt behind what a person said to me, but instead I chose to ignore the anger that I felt from the words that the person said to me and move forward and make something else happen. And some of us will allow our pride to get in the way and say, forget all that other stuff. It's about pride and principle now. And it's not necessarily the pride and principle. It's about you and how you feeling and what you think other people are thinking of you. And I could care less what other people are thinking of me in that situation. So I choose to ignore that sensation and move on to the next one. So does that kind of elaborate a little bit more for you, Dr. Robert?
Yes, it does, and I know it does for a lot of other people. And I'm 64 years old. And I've said a lot of this stuff over 30 years ago. And to hear it again, I know that I heard something right and I did something right, and to share it out, is like give and take.
Yeah.
You give it out and you receive it. And you're not taking it, it's coming back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes into what Felicia Kay said about the boomerang effect. She said a lot of times people don't realize that when they say those words, that whatever you're saying to that loved one, whatever you're saying to your boo thing, your spouse, whatever, even your children, what you say to them is going to boomerang back off of them and come right back at you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good. So, Dr. Robert, now, if I remember correctly, are you a sociologist or a psychologist?
I'm a lifestyle coach. I have a PhD in philosophy and a bachelor's in humanity.
Okay, a PhD in philosophy. I knew it was one of those, and I it definitely comes out in your writing. I absolutely love it. And then and you said you're 25.
I'm 64.
I'm messing with you. Yeah. So I appreciate the wisdom that you're dropping on me, man. I appreciate it because as from one black man to a younger black man, anytime I'm listening, I do exactly what you said and I clear my plate completely off and I sit and I want to eat the nuggets that you're dropping in my plate, man. So I absolutely appreciate you, Dr. Robert.
Thank you. And I appreciate you too.
Yeah.
And pronounce your name?
Jarvis.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, my guy. Hey, listen, everybody. This has been a great conversation, and that was a great, some great information that was added, and there were some great nuggets. I was trying to type some things in, and so I know those of you who are watching me, you're kind of watching me move around from one device to the next, but it's because I'm trying to catch the questions and respond via text message as well as type some things in. I saw his message come up, but I thought it was just a link to a podcast. And as I go back in, I'm looking even further, I see that there's more to it. But I appreciate Dr. Robert, and he's a 64-year-old man who is, he's got his degree, doctorates in philosophy. So he's got a very philosophical mind. And the man is like, the times that he's been on with me, I definitely have gained some much needed and just well output knowledge from him. And then with Felicia K, man, she's for the experience that she has, for those of you who didn't get a chance to hear her the other night, she's been married for 35 years and she brings a lot of truth and value to the table. And in what we're talking about in this one last conversation about emotions, this whole thing that, we started off talking about the different emotions for kids, dealing with bullying and moving into relationships, moving into men's relationships, or men and our emotions and how we handle things in relationships. And I want you guys to know that we all experience emotions. And I said this a few episodes back when I was talking about mental health and mental illness. And I let everybody know that we all experience mental illness. We all experience mental illness. The same way that you can catch a cold and get over a cold is the same way that you can deal with situations that cause you to have either heightened or lower levels of mental illness at any given time. And I will tell you, like, I can even say, like, in the past week, there was a situation that came up and it caused me so much angst. Like, I mean, like, literally in my heart, I felt the anxiety. In my mind, I felt the doubt and the worry. And I felt like all of these different thoughts running around, and if I had been one of those people who needed to be medicated for something like that, then I would have been popping pills like right away, because that's exactly where my emotional state was. And what I ended up doing is I ended up kind of just slowing down, stopping for a minute, and then taking a couple of deep breaths and processing and saying, hey, this is temporary. Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? Like, I'm talking to myself, hey, Jarvis, why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? Okay, is there anything that you can do right now that is going to change that particular situation? There's nothing that can happen right now. Like, I can't snap my finger. I don't got a genie in a bottle. There's nothing I can do. Okay, is there anything that you can do in the next hour? Is there anything that you can do in the next 24 hours? Like, I'm asking myself these questions. And as I ask myself these questions, I back myself down off of the ledge, and then my emotions they get back into tact. And now I can think about what it is that I need to do. Okay, you need to make this phone call. You need to have this conversation. You need to listen and find out why this was said, why this was done. And that's what I want to encourage every single person to know that you can do. You don't have to, when you're dealing with emotions, it's not a bad thing. Let me tell you this, mental illness is not bad, right? Mental health is not a bad word. Like, these things are not bad. There was one of the people who spoke at the Impact rally, and this is why you got to go and you got to watch the rebroadcast of this. Natasha Knox did a whole session on mental health, and she broke down things in a way that a doggone 5-year-old could understand it. People walked out of that session just like eyes wide open, mind blown. And that's her specialty. She is a certified grief counselor / coach. She's a nurse. She's an author, a 4-time author. And she brought all of that knowledge into the Impact Rally. And at the Impact Rally, her whole session was on mental health. And she broke that thing down in a way that I've never seen it broke down before. And there's so many things that I pulled away from it. And so in that, that's where I learned that mental health is not a bad thing. Mental illness is not a bad thing. Now, in my personal search it out, study it, I'm like, we all deal with we all have mental health issues from time to time. If you've ever dealt with a loss in your life, whether it's a divorce, a bad breakup from a long-term relationship, the death of a loved one, you've experienced some serious mental lows and you experienced some serious mental highs. Like, you felt the roller coaster, right? That's why they have they say that there's the 12 steps to recovery, right? The 12 steps, the 12 stages of emotions. Like, I remember when I went through, when I did go through my divorce, everybody was concerned. Like, what stage of grief are you on? I'm like, huh? What? They had no idea what I had went through that led up to that point. So it was hard for me to even buy into the fact that everybody's telling me, it's okay, you're well within your right to feel blah, 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 blah. You're well within your right to do da, 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 da. And I need us as human beings who love other human beings, stop letting people stay in dark places. It's not good to let somebody or even encourage somebody to stay in a dark place. If they stay in a dark place, let me tell you what darkness is. Darkness is the absence of light. Oh, you don't believe me? Here, let me show you. Hold on. And so for those of you who are on the Wisdom app, I'm turning off my light. And actually, let me go turn off the other light because I forgot I had that light on. Boom. So now it's dark in here. And with it being dark in here, you can kind of see me, but you can't really see me, right? You can only see me because of the light that's coming off of the screen from my laptop. and you can only see me because of, you know, the candle that I have lit behind me and a little dim light that's back there. But where there's darkness, just imagine in this space that I'm sitting in right now, this is what it looks like to the person who's going through something, the person who's dealing with the bad breakup, who's dealing with the loss, who's dealing with the job loss, who's dealing with, you know, the weight of the world on their shoulders. It looks like this. It's not, it doesn't have the same ambiance, but there's it's dark and there's little shimmers of light. And those little shimmers of light that you see, so that candle that's over my shoulder back there, that little shimmer of light is somebody who's calling out from the distance, who's like really trying to shout hope to them and call them and text them. And that's that one person. The other shimmer of light that you see, the light that's shining off my laptop, that's the other person on the other side who's trying to reach in to get me out of the light. But if you notice, none of those lights that are in this room are actually touching me. It's not until we as individuals, and I really want you to follow me on this, as individuals, as human beings, caring about and loving people when they're going through things, and we say, hey, I see you in your mental situation. I see you, like, and I ask this question to my friends and my loved ones: how is your mental health? How are you feeling mentally and emotionally? Because I really want to know. I don't want to leave it to chance. I can't leave it to chance. But for those people, what they need, when you go get them, hey, how are you doing in your mental health? And as they're talking about it, you put your hand out, they grab your hand, metaphorically, right? And you're walking them out of the dark space, and it begins to look like this again. And then they come back into the light, and that's the whole thing. And for those of you who are in wisdom, I just turned the lights back on. And when you come back into the light, right? You come back into the light. If you look, where are the shadows? What happened to all that darkness? What happened to all of the darkness? Can't exist where light is at. It can't. Darkness and light cannot exist in the same space. They cannot cohabitate. And when we leave people in dark spaces, we leave them there to fend for themselves. And they're not going to pull themselves out of that dark space. Okay? I'm just letting you know. Not everybody has the ability to think through times in the past and get in the memory banks and say, oh, this is what I did to get out of this situation. Even for somebody like myself, where I feel like I'm very good at, okay, getting myself back into a good space, I need a helping hand. I need that voice. I need to know there's somebody somewhere praying for me, and somebody who's calling and checking on me. You know, and then to make it even, to give you another analogy, I don't know if you guys have ever seen war movies, but I'm hoping that you have. In a war movie, or if you played a war video game, whatever, they have these things called foxholes, right? They have things called foxholes. Or not even just in a war movie. Let's take any type of movie where there's good, and there's two separate sides going at each other, and there's gunfire. All right, good and bad, you know, whatever you want to call it. In the war, and this war is called life, people are gonna get hit, and they're gonna be wounded, and they're gonna fall into the foxhole. And when they fall into the foxhole, they have their weapons. And our weapons are the things that we've been taught in the past. Our weapons are the things that we've learned over time, the things that we've experienced over time. Those are all the weapons that we have at our hands grab. Like all we gotta do is reach those memory banks and we can pull them out, right? We have all the ammo that we need. We just don't know how to use it when we're injured. So this person who's been injured, they can hit, bop, boom, they fall into the foxhole. They're in the foxhole, they're nursing their own wound, and there's gunfire firing over the top of them. Pew, 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 firing over the top of them. Bombs laying all around. Like all this stuff is happening. And all they need is for their friends to jump in the foxhole with them and say, hey, I'm going to start firing and give you cover fire, and I want you to run. What you see happen in movies is when somebody else joins them in the foxhole and they pop up and they, now that person who's sitting there next to him that is like, yo, I got help now. They load up and they start taking the weapons that they already have. The person who's coming in is not bringing any weapons with them. The person who's in the foxhole already has weapons, and they pop up, and now they're both shooting, and they both get out of the foxhole and they run. That's what happens in our lives when we're going through situations, when life hits us, when we feel like we're down and we feel like we're in a dark space. We need other people to survive. We do. There's a song that came out years ago. It was like, I need you, you need me. We're all a part of one big family. I can't remember the rest of the words, but basically at the end of it, it talked about how we need each other. You know, and that's the whole premise of the song, Lean on Me. We need each other. let me carry your load. You don't have to carry that by yourself. That's how teams win the Super Bowl. That's why LA won the Super Bowl. They had star players that got hurt, but they had other players who stepped up. They needed each other. They couldn't have won the game without each other. That's how battles are won. That's how wars are won. That's how marriages last. People realize I need you. One thing that I always looked at, and this is what kept me very faithful when I was married. This is what keeps me faithful in relationships now, is I don't ever want to see myself without the person that I say that I love and I care about. It's easy to imagine yourself with somebody else, but is it easy to imagine yourself without the person that you say that you love? That's tough. That's real tough. I encourage each and every one of us to look at the people that we love in our lives and ask yourself that one question: can I see myself without you in my life? I'm just saying, y'all, it's something to ask yourself, because it'll cause you to look at them totally different. And if it's one of those things, you know, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can see myself without them. I mean, I'm talking about anything like loved ones, coworkers, and I know that there's levels to this thing. Okay, let me get balanced. So I know there's levels to this thing, and in the levels to this thing, we have the ability to pick and choose who we want close to us in those tight circles and who we need to move out of those tight circles. That is perfectly fine. That's going to happen. But if you're in and if you're in an erotic type of an eros love, that this is going to be my partner type of love, type of relationship, something that will keep the glue together, is you'll look past the 20% of the things that they do wrong if you focus on the 80% of the things that they do right. When it comes to jobs and the people who are on your teams, there are people who I can promise you everybody on your team has the ability to get the job done. They just need to know that they have a support group around them to help them get the job done. Whether they utilize a support group or not, they just need to know that they're a part of a team. That's what makes people in the workspace, or it makes work teams so successful, is when they come together. That's that companionate love environment where it's like, we got each other's back. Let's make it happen, right? When it comes to parenting, your children, they just want to, they don't need us yelling at them all the time. They want to know that we're there to listen and support them. Now, let's add balance. Discipline them. What I've learned is when you don't discipline your child, it's a sign of you not loving them. The discipline from you will help them avoid the discipline from the world. And the world is not going to take any mercy on disciplining your child if you don't discipline your child. I just want to put that out there for you. So listen, this has been a great series on emotions. It has, absolutely. From top to bottom, beginning to end. And we will revisit this again at some point. And tomorrow we're going to start a new topic, and I'm all about taking people to the next level. One thing that I would like to invite you to do is, if these conversations are impactful for you. Now, I am a empowerment specialist. I'm a life coach. I'm a speaker. And I'm a person who just genuinely loves people, love life, love people, love God. That's me. I extravagantly love God, extravagantly love people, and I want to see you succeed. If these conversations are they're impactful to you, there's a few things that I have for you. One is I have my book, Dear Fear Men. It is actually on my website. I am a co-author in this book. But this book is not just for men. It is a book that I promise you that if you read it, it'll help you identify areas in your life. Now, at the end of it, you're gonna want to write a letter to Fear and say, Fear, I don't have no need for you. And then it's gonna help you. It's gonna break glass ceilings. It is, and that's on my website, jarvishenderson.com. The other thing that I want to tell you about is I have my branding, my apparel, Go Do Something apparel, and with the Go Do Something apparel, if these are things like if these conversations and these talks and these lives are really beneficial to you, I want to encourage you to go ahead and go purchase some Go Do Something apparel. And the reason I want to encourage you to go purchase Go Do Something apparel is because every single piece of apparel that is purchased, it is apparel that it inspires and serves. And the way that it serves is every dollar that comes in from that helps me to be able to do these types of things. The podcast, to do the lives, to do the events, the live events, even the Go Do Something, or I'm sorry, the Impact Rally that just came, the rebroadcast of the Impact Rally. I want to encourage you to come and watch that thing on Saturday. you know, and if you can't, I mean, shoot, still register, and I'll make sure that you get to be able to, like, I'll leave it up for you to be able to get it. It's a rebroadcast, so you're going to be able to see it. I want to make it available to you. So with all of that, you know, I want to leave that with you guys and encourage you, go to jarvishenderson.com. You know, all of these things are available at jarvishenderson.com. If you would like to request or inquire about my coaching services, you'll go to my website and you just go to a jump consultation. That's it. Just go to jump consultation, and that'll get us started into talking. And it's a free consultation, 30 minutes. We just get on the phone, we chop it up, talk, and we can figure out how I can best serve you. All right. So this is your boy Jarvis. I absolutely love each and every one of you. I want to say thank you so much to Felicia K. Thank you so much to Dr. Robert Goodman for adding in their value. Thank you for those of you who sent in questions, Bree, commenting and various things. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night. All right. Hey, listen, this has been almost 90 days straight of us coming on here and having some great conversations. I put myself on a 90-day challenge. And when I finish this challenge, I'm going to do a masterclass and teach you how to be just as consistent. I love y'all. Peace. I'm out.